Good evening, everyone. You're supposed to say good evening back. Congratulations. You've reached the most important day of your life. Or maybe not, as the day of your birth was probably more significant. I'm Prasad, and I'm here to talk to you about whatever I want for the next 5 minutes. I could talk about... No, I've written it down. But because the speech has to be approved by administration, I'll focus on the class of 2026. We survived COVID. Well, everyone from the class of 2020 to the class of 2033 could say that. But our class faced it uniquely. Consider the first day of middle school, which was spent at home due to a cyber attack. For a month afterward, all of our teachers were freaking out as they were unable to use technology. But by the end of 6th grade, we were at home again for a different reason, and all of our teachers were freaking out because they could only use technology. I will admit, it was nice having more time to play Clash of Clans during that time period, but I'm sure for many of us, it was sad and isolating to live through. The next 2 years of middle school were a bit better, though hybrid learning and the inability to see through people's masks was not particularly amazing. But eventually, we got to the other side, which was high school. And what's unique to the class of 2026 is that the 3 COVID years were contained in middle school. So we got to keep the childhood joy of elementary and the more mature memories of high school, and only sacrifice the more awkward moments of middle school. Whether or not you agree with that last statement, our experience with middle school will be an interesting story for our grandkids. The class of 2026 was also the first class that could not say, "I'm glad I graduated before yonder couches." Were they effective? I think it improved learning, but it was unfortunate not being able to see the newest TikTok video on 6/7. Now, let's go through the people that make this day even better. Thank you to all the parents for constantly supporting your children. Even if they didn't want your support at the time, I'm sure it benefited them in the long run. Thank you to all the siblings who are here, to the younger ones to the older ones who annoyed the younger ones, to the younger ones who had to pause their block last game to be here. I hope it was worth it. Thank you to all my teachers, and especially my English teachers, for teaching me about anaphora, which, if you weren't paying attention in 10th grade English, is what I've been doing. Congratulations to all the students who successfully completed their BOCES program. I can't imagine working with my hands, so kudos to you for learning something technical while maintaining a tight schedule. Congratulations to all the E&L students. Many don't realize the amount of work it takes to graduate with your obstacles. Congratulations to all the athletes of Monroe Woodbury. From the runners who were constantly going to nationals while simultaneously figuring out ways to skip practice, to the baseball team who won their first section championship since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. And finally, congratulations to the class of 2026 as a whole. Even if you weren't mentioned, graduation is something to be proud of, and the mark of a transition to a new life. Now, it's the part of the speech where I'm supposed to give you advice. And let me say, you're going to get a lot of advice during this part of your life, from your parents, high school staff, students giving speeches, etc. My advice is to recall what you learned in your English classes, not necessarily annotating a tale of two cities for an hour each day or MLA citations. Don't get me wrong, those are important, But what I want you to consider here is the rhetorical situation of the advice you are given. In order to handle the large amount of advice you are given, you need to consider the credibility of the person giving you the advice. If it's Mr. McElroy, it's probably pretty good. If it's ChatGPT, I wouldn't let it dictate my life. And if it's some random student giving a speech, well, I'll let you decide that for yourself. Thank you to the class of 2026 for making these past 13 years truly memorable. I hope the rest of your life is not as chaotic as middle school it was. Congratulations, good luck, and thank you for listening.